Hi, Sagittarius Sun and Rising. Welcome to your August 2024 Astro Update. It's Rena here, Sun and Sag myself. And one of the great things about August is that the Sun is going to be in Leo for most of the month, and Leo is a fellow fire sign. This forms a trine to your Sun or Ascendant, which is the most cooperative angle, and that is helpful when you are trying to achieve your goals, and just in general to feel the sense of flow versus the Virgo energy squares off to Sag, and it can feel frustrating. It can feel like there are obstacles in your path, but I would caution people not to get too caught up in these kinds of things. And even though I mentioned it, because you have other influences. And for instance, in my chart, I have the moon in Virgo and I have inner planets in Earth. So that would trine it or form a conjunction with Virgo. So the same may apply to you in some cases, or water. If you have water, that would sextile it. So anyway, for Sagittarius, Leo is trining us from the ninth house, which is the house that we rule in astrology. So that adds a layer of luck, expansion, and positivity to the mix. So you may feel called upon in some way to expand an area of life, and especially if it involves territory or geography, because this can be the house of long distance travel. So either if you have already been planning a trip or you just suddenly have this urge to take a trip, that could be why. But mentally, this is the house of academia or the higher education. But the higher mind would be more like philosophy. And this is the God house, so it's connected to that as well. And it really speaks to, the meaning of life, which is a pretty weighty topic, let's face it. But it's so important because it informs our choices, right? So these kinds of things may be themes for you as you progress, especially through the first few weeks when the sun is in that sign. Mars will be in Gemini all month long. And actually, a lot of you may be listening in July when I'm recording this, and it hasn't happened yet. So Mars goes into Gemini on the 20th of July. And Gemini is the opposite sign of Sag. So it's going to be traveling through the seventh house, which is the house of relationships. Now, Mars is the god of war. So, I mean, there's always the possibility for more heightened tension between you and another. And it doesn't have to be a spouse, it could be like a business partner, or if you have clients, it's like one-on-one relationships. But one of the things that I think might not be emphasized enough is that Mars can simply be increased activity. So you might be doing more things with your partner, especially if there is some kind of situation where you have not been able to go places and do things with him or her. Also, Mars, it could be even like you're going to start to work out together or travel somewhere together and roam around. Sagittarius love to roam around. And so do Geminis, by the way. But also the seventh house is the house of legal affairs. So Mars could be fighting some kind of a legal battle. And I would assume that if that's the case, you would know by now, July at the earliest, about this case. It's not going to just pop out of nowhere, because It might just be that things are really starting to heat up with that. So it is possible that some Sagittarius are going through a divorce, and this is, kind of the theme of this period of time. On the 4th, Venus goes into Virgo, and we have a new moon at 12 degrees of Leo. So we have these are adjacent signs. So we have the new moon in the 9th house, and the Venus going into the 10th, which is great because the 10th house is the house of career, and Venus can be money. So it could be like, you get a raise, or Venus can bring charm. So the 10th house can be authority figures. You might be impressing authority figures with your natural charm, and that gets you a raise, or that opens doors for you in some way career-wise. With the new moon in the 9th house, this is sometimes this might be like more subtle, where it's like you have a different way of viewing your life. I think for a lot of Sages, the big way that this shows up is if you've kind of lived a matrix-like life where you have done what other people have done, but Sages are kind of rebels and believe in freedom, and you just kind of like decide that life is about more than the typical things that people are doing to be happy, I guess you would say. Like, you're seeing that layer that is very profound and that's connected to God, and that is what informs your actions. But the reason that that's kind of funny is that Venus in the 10th house could also be getting a raise. So that would be nice too. But there might be for some of you that you're moving to a new country. You never know. So, another thing that I didn't mention at the beginning is that there are hints of eclipse season here starting to heat up, because it is the month before an eclipse in Pisces is going to take place, September 17th. So, at least a month ahead. So, especially around mid-August, you might start to sense that some of this is happening. And this affects, this lunar eclipse is the 4th house of home and family. So that could be a very major break. But when I say a break, I don't mean it in a bad way. What I mean is that it could be something that if you have held on to where you're living or the past in a way that has prevented you from moving forward, this lunar eclipse should really help with that, because it can allow you to kind of like let go finally. It doesn't mean that you turn your back on the past, or that you act like you hate where you live and you have to get out of there. It just means that all of the things that are keeping you, you're able to feel comfortable just releasing it. Release is a better word. So there might be some elements of that coming in August that are really making it so that you start that process of, detaching from it. And it can also be the mother. That's another big area. So depending on your relationship with her, what is going on with her and you, that could also feature into it, even as early as August. So on the 5th, we have, and the reason I said that is because of a possible move. New moon in the 9th house could be like a country that you're choosing that you're going to move to. Maybe it's for school. That's a possibility, studying abroad or teaching abroad. On the 5th, Mercury goes retrograde at 4 degrees of Virgo, so that affects career matters. If you're talking to um, a particular employer, although I would tend to put the employers connected with the sixth house, but still, it's possible. Um, there might be something that is lost in translation, or it doesn't gel at the time that you're hoping it to. Anything that seems like it's stalling or going backwards career wise, it's a very quick transit, these Mercury retrogrades. So it will it is going to go. Oh, well, one thing to note, it will go back into Leo on the 14th, Mercury. So, interestingly, when we look at that ninth house, we're talking about this more philosophical side. So, yes, I do think that if you are, you might get a raise at work, and that might be tempting to keep you there, but you realize through the Mercury retrograde that you have progressed to the point where that's not enough of a lure anymore. And I would even say, even though, career, the business that you own, that's the business that you own is the fifth house. But I would even extend, it to the 10th house for whatever it is that you've chosen to do. And same thing. It's like your profits that you're making. Is it like something that is enough to keep you there, or do you feel like you have evolved where it no longer represents what you are all about? Because I think that's a big one. And then on the 19th, we have a full moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius. The number 27 reduces to a 9, which is the number of endings, and full moons can bring something to a head, to culmination, blossoming, the height of what it is, the totality, the fullness. And so for Sagittarius, this is a sextile, so that's, there's a friendly angle involved here. And of course, this is a general reading. So if you're like an early degree Sag, Sun, or Ascendant, this won't aspect, or it might actually, I was thinking, could it square square this full moon? Because it's almost like if you're 1 degree Sag and you're close to close to Scorpio, it might actually form a square, which is kind of wild. But anyway, so the point is that this falls in the third house for Sagittarius, which is the house that Mercury rules under the sign of our opposite sign of Gemini. So it deals with all matters of the news, like information, the mind, but more of the mundane mind, the daily mind. There's another word. I find that the word mundane, it seems a little bit of a negative connotation, like it's not very profound. But it's about the practical mind, I think, is maybe a good way to describe it. The mind that helps us navigate this world. But it could be social media. It can be a lot of things. So there might be, if you've been trying to make your mark on social media, this could actually be a time when you go viral, or at least see some kind of major advancement. Because another thing to keep in mind is that Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which can be connected to technology. So it does have that connotation as well. And so that could be very good for anybody who is working online, where something you're being seen by others. Just a little side note, in the New Age community lately, or I would say the psychobabble community, I know that's a little bit rude. Psychobabble just means like those that the terminology that's used in pop psychology, um, popular psychology. And one of them, or phrases, and the one that I've seen recently is, um, I see you, or I want to be seen. And I thought that that was really kind of strange, because it's like, there's almost like a narcissistic component to that, in a sense. I know that I understand what they mean, but it's like, to me, that's not the important thing, is being seen. The important thing is to see others. You know what I mean? It's like not all about us. But I will say that if you are working online, if you're trying to launch an online business or anything online, being seen is like, 100% important. So this could be very good for something like that. On the 22nd, one thing I just want to point out here is, because the third house can be your siblings, it can be your aunts, uncles, cousins. Now, I mentioned that there's going to be a lunar eclipse in September in the fourth house, which can be the mother. Some people say the father, whatever. The point is that there could be drama, family drama, where you cut off ties to a sibling because you see them, but you see the real them. You see, and it's not really them, but I mean, you see what they have hidden before, like their true colors come out, and you decide, I'm not dealing with this person. Maybe you put two and two together and you realize it's always been that way. And then yes, you could sever ties to a parent that in September, or even if the eclipse energy is affecting you now. Could be a lot of family drama, but not for everybody. Just want to make that clear. And the third house can also be aunts, uncles, cousins, just to make it clear, or neighbors. So, if the lunar eclipse in September, is in your home sector, if you have any kind of issue with neighbors, you might be moving pretty soon. On the 22nd, the sun goes into Virgo, so we do have that kind of Capricornian vibe, sub-influence with the sun in this very practical, this is an earth house energy, very ambitious. On the 28th, Mercury goes direct at 21 degrees of Leo, so that is in your ninth house. And you have made a decision about something. And the fact that the sun is in the 10th house, that could be your decision, is that you're deciding to maybe stay with a certain career for now. You feel like it's lucrative. You know that you can always do the other thing at some point, so you're not worried about it. On the 29th, Venus goes into Libra, which is another friendly angle to Sag, another sextile, but this time in the opposite direction. This is entering your 11th house of friendships and groups, but also gains. And that was kind of what I was trying to illustrate. I mentioned profits and increasing profits. And then I was saying to myself in my mind, well, that's more of 11th house. So I was kind of like a little bit skeptical about whether or not that was a good example or analogy. But the bottom line is that Venus can be money, and the 11th house can be, profits and things like that. So it could be increase in these. It can also be that you are socializing more, enjoying your friends. I think of the Three of Cups in the Tarot, enjoying your friends, experiencing popularity for some reason. Maybe this is due to online endeavors in some cases, who knows? You can meet love through your friends, through a night out with your friends. You might meet somebody that is romantic material. That would be nice, wouldn't it? If you're single. If you're coupled, it might be a little bit upsetting because you're like, okay, now what do I do? But anyway, that's what I have for you, Sag. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my deep dive package deals. And I'm really like, as a Sag, I do tend to be very straightforward, and I feel like these package deals are such a good deal, because the amount of time you get is a lot, and I think for the price, it's like really a good value. An hour of natal chart analysis and an hour of transits for a special price compared to purchasing those readings separately. And if you also like the tarot, it's a full-length tarot reading, and that package deal is called the whole enchilada. You can find out more information about all of my readings. I have love readings and career readings at the link below. I'm at rainandmoonastrology.com. Thanks for listening. Bye.